Guys, okay, so like anytime, if you have a question, ask your question as we're going because you may not remember. And I want you to remember because I know how to do all this. This is simple for me, but I'm just kind of showing. And you guys, listen, this is interactive. If you want to start up OBS and Zoom and whatever and do your own thing, you're welcome to do it along with me. It's supposed to be, that's why we design these workshops. So anytime you want to do it, that's what we're doing is OBS and Zoom. We're doing them together. Yep, we're doing that. Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing the combination of those things. Thank you guys, first of all, for coming in and joining live. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a blank scene so you can kind of see where I am. And I will do a screen share so you guys can see that. I'm going to take my first page, and this is my OBS. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see the OBS?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so there's a blank scene. What I usually do, and this one today, what we're going to be talking about is how do I get, this has been a question asked of me quite a bit. So I'm offering it to you guys in the community first. If I ever do a video, I might do a video on this in the public, but I'm offering it up to you guys. People ask me all the time, when you do your game shows, you have people in spots wherever you want them. How do you get them to the individual spots? Because most people just bring the Zoom meeting right into where it is, and then they just build around that. Well, I'm going to kind of show you how I do that. So let's just start off. Let's take the game show that I did last night. You guys see that? You see, this is in Pixlr. Okay, so this is Pixlr. I have designed this. This is one of my plates. This is for like 3 people in the video. So I've created all this ahead of time, and I have green. If you notice, I have green there. This is so I can take that color out to put the images back behind. So what I do is I'm just showing you that so you can see you have to design this ahead of time. So I've designed this ahead of time with the green, etc., and all that kind of stuff. So I'll bring that back out. So I'm going to bring that in. So I have a scene. It's called main page. Okay, I have one here with green screen, but then I have main page. Now over here, I'm going to add a source. So when I add that source, I'm going to add that image that you just saw. So what I want to do is, we'll call this 3 people, just so I can make it, so I know what it is, identify it later, that kind of thing. Now I'm going to go and try and find that. So I'm going to go to game night. This is where I have it. Well, maybe my mouse will work. And then I'm going to go to playing with matches because that's the game that we did. And then here's the scene with 3. So I'm going to pull that same image and boom, there it is. So when you're creating these, make sure when you create that you have, I usually set it to 1920 by 1080 anytime I create an image. And the reason I do that is so if you ever cast or broadcast at 1080, then you're covered. If you do it 1080 by 720 or 1280 by 720. Yeah. If you do 1280 by 720, it's fine. It'll work on YouTube. Yes. But if YouTube ever goes to where they can go out at 1080, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I just feel like if I have a better image, when I go to shrink it down, it's fine. But when I try to go up, it doesn't work as well. So I almost always create everything at 1920 by 1080. So I've done that. I have that here. Now, what I need to do is I need to get my Zoom meeting as well. So what I usually do, if you can see here, I have a scene, and I use scenes and sources separately a lot of times. In this particular case, I'm going to go to a source and I'm going to bring in the Zoom meeting. So with this, I'm going to do I believe it's window capture. Yes. And we're going to put just Zoom. Okay. All right. So, oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Zoom 1, let's just say, just because it won't accept that name. All right. Let's do that. All right. So that's one of the things I have open. Let's just go to Zoom. See if yep, that's the right one. That's you guys that are in the Zoom meeting right now. Okay. Now I want to show the reason I'm doing this is, okay, so obviously this source behind, it's in the wrong place. I got to move them. So I got to move one down. So now it's behind. I can actually see, if you can see right at the top edge, you can see it's back there. It's just not in the right place right now. Now the hardest thing is here, the reason I'm showing you the wrong way first. Okay. So I always do that. I want to show you the wrong way first so you can see why we're doing it this way. So now I'm going to take a green screen. Okay. First of all, I want to work with the Zoom. Actually, I want to work with the 3 people first. So what I usually do, whatever one I'm working on, I lock the other one. So the Zoom, I lock it so it doesn't move. I can't move that back there. It's a great way, if you're using OBS, it's a great way, learn to lock. Lock everything else and work on the one you're working on. So the 3 people is what I want to do. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to go to filters because I want to get rid of that green, right? So I hit the plus, I go to chroma key. I don't label it. I just go, okay, chroma key. And it automatically takes that green out. If you notice back there, it automatically took it out. That's pretty cool. And then you can adjust all of this similar and smooth and stuff, but it usually does a really, really good job. I usually go with it unless there's an issue later. So then I close out of that window. So now I got that Zoom image. So now I want to work with the Zoom image because I want to get the people lined up and all that kind of stuff. So I lock the three people image and I go to the Zoom. So now when I click out here, wherever, if I can, there we go. I'm going to move this around. But if you notice, I can't put people where I want. I can resize this and get us all to fit in there, which is fine if you had 3 people across from each other. But how do I get, Richard and myself or Richard and Jim and Chris in there as well? I can't move them around. I can't individualize their image. So here is the trick, and here's the way I do it for the game show. Okay, now let's go back. I'm going to remove this now. So let's delete or remove, excuse me, I have to use the right terminology because every single thing, I wish they get consistent, but they don't. So I'm going to remove that. So boom. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a scene and I'm going to call this Zoom group because this is all of us really. Actually, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to name this, oops, my headset. Somebody say something.
Blah, 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 blah.
Louder.
Blah,
Okay,
blah,
there
blah,
you go.
blah, blah.
There you go. Because my headset goes off if I don't hear anything in a while. So, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say person 1. I'm going to name it that. And actually, I'm going to just put a number because then that way it stays in. There we go. Person 1. All right. Now, here's where I'm going to add the Zoom. Okay. So I'm going to add a window capture. Should be Zoom. Hopefully it is. Yep, there it is. So now I have a separate one for person 1. Now, here's the trick. What I do is Andrew is top left, so I'm going to take him and I'm going to put him as person 1. I'm just going to highlight his square. So boom, now I got him and I can make that whatever size I want. And I'm going to show you, I just did a trick and some people don't know how to do the crop versus whatever. I did it really quick, but I'm going to show you on this next one how I did that. So I already have the Zoom capture right in person 1. So all I'm going to do is duplicate that. I right click, hit duplicate, and then here I'm going to make it person 2. So now I have person 2, but if I do that, it still has just Andrew. So I'm going to shrink that back down. So all I'm doing is taking a corner. This moves. This just moves you and takes you and all that kind of stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key. The Alt key and press a corner, and now I can go get person 2. I'm going to change my square to this, and now I have me. Okay, so now I have person 2. Boom, there's person 2. All right, and all I did was move it. I took my hand off the Alt key and I moved it. Now person 2. So you guys help me out. What am I going to do for person 3? You're muted, but
Duplicate.
Duplicate, that's right. So I'm going to right click on person 2 and hit duplicate, and I'm going to make this to person 3. Boom, there it is. So now when I'm over here on the source, now I got me as the source. I need to get person 3. So what I like to do, I know where it is. I know it's down here. So I'm going to go over here and get this bottom corner first. There we go. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this right here. Boom. And it pretty much fits. And I can go off screen. If somebody has their head, you know, like Jim's off screen, oh, well, he's not going to be seen. No, but, and I can bounce and I can see, like, there's a little black line. That thing drives me crazy sometimes. And it's just the way I captured it. I can always move you over or move it around a little bit to take that out. Or I can go in there and I can try and fiddle around till I get it exactly correct. And then I go like this, and now it fits on screen better. You can do it however you want. One thing that I like about Zoom is it keeps your name down there. So that's why I will use that. So a lot of times, okay, so I only need 3 people. Sorry, Richard, you don't get to play today. Sorry, Richard. No. So I have my 3 individual people. Now what's cool is, this is the awesome thing about what I like about, so when I go back to my main scene, I just have a black screen now. Now I can go right here. I'm going to add sources. This is what's cool. I can add a scene. Okay, so these scenes over here, I can add a scene. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add person 1. I'm going to go in and add, can't do it all at once, unfortunately. You have to do it one at a time. There's person 2, and then scene 3, person 3. Boom. So now all I'm doing now is I'm just shrinking these down to where I wanted them, the way I wanted them. See, I'm not going to make them all small, but I'm going to get it now right here. Now remember, Andrew was top left. Now I can move him and put him actually over in this square. And I don't care if it's overlapped. Watch, I'll even make it overlap. See, it doesn't matter, because you watch what happens when I do something in a second. I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna move you guys. Yep, exactly. So now I'm gonna take this, and I want me right dead in the middle. You know what? I'm the center of attention. My mom always said that. So I'm gonna. And mom's always right. Mom's always right. So, and then I take and if you notice, I'm doing all this. And I didn't do, what was one of the things that I said that to do when you're working with one individual source?
Lock the others.
Lock the other ones. Exactly. See, and I didn't do that. So if you're right here and you're like, damn it, why do I keep picking up Andrew? I'm trying to hit, I'm trying to hit Jim. And so yes, lock the others, choose number 3, and now move it. Yes. Good. Good. I was wondering if anybody would pick up on that. I always like to teach how not to do it and then explain why you don't do it, because I've made those mistakes and it drives me crazy. I'm like, why am I doing that every single time? So now, like, Andrew's way big and he's off and there's nothing even about it. But if my squares are even on this, it's perfect. So now I can take the 3 people, boom, and go up, and look at there. Now everybody's back there. It's good. Now in Jim and Chris's picture, I could actually take this. I'm still on 3, which is good. So I can take that. I don't like that roof that they have in that particular image. So what I can do is actually move that up. But if I move that up, so I took that out, now I got a black line down below. I don't want to do that. So I can mess with this as much as I want. And I'm using just the down arrow on my keyboard to take it nice and slow. So now I have to leave that. So boom, okay? But that's the kind of thing, there you go, much better. There we go. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So that is OBS. That's the different layers. That's the different things. That's the kind of stuff that you can do like that helps you. That's how I bring in individual people in individual spots where I want them, and how I match up the teams that we have and all that kind of stuff to make sure I have the right teams in the right spot for every game. And by doing this, let's say, for example, okay, let's go back. Okay, now that I've done that, let's add Richard as the 4th person, okay? So let's go back and do this. So I'm going to create a new scene, right? Okay, so how do I make a new scene from the Zoom? Richard, you're muted.
At the bottom, you can right click.
Yep. I can right click.
You can plus.
And duplicate. That's right, duplicate. How about duplicate? Remember, I'm adding the other Zoom, so I'm adding the 4th one. Very good. So I'm going to add the 4th person. I go back over to the Zoom here. I know Richard's in the bottom right corner, so I need to bring this up to here. I'm going to hold the Alt key, and I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to take the Alt key on this corner. I'm just going to highlight right there. Okay, so now I'm actually going to move that over a little bit more. There we go. and it should, there, you know, I've been moving this all the way down. One thing you can do too, you can right click and you go to transform. You can go to fit to screen, stretch to screen, center to screen, center vertically, and center horizontally. So you can do all those things. I'm going to do fit to screen. So you can see, boom, it fit to screen. So obviously when I did this, I was off when I did it real little. So I can just take this, look at that. And all I'm doing is alting and moving that to take out the black lines, trying to, but I'm also taking out his name. There we go. So still have a black border, a little bit of black border, but it's okay. I can get rid of that on the next one or whatever I need to do there. Whenever I put them in the actual window. Let me see. Let me just try and make this. There we go. That's better.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal to redo the whole thing too.
No, it really isn't. It's really quite easy to do. So if you notice, these are all full screen. So I can do full screen, boom, boom. And now Richard's in there. There we go. Got him. So we got all four things. So now if I wanted to go back to the main page, let's say I wanted to take me out and just have Richard in. I'm going to add a source, right? What's my source? Where do I go for it? Anybody remember? It's scene. I'm going to add a scene because remember I created the fourth person scene. That's all right. There we go. So scene. So I'm adding a scene. I'm going to add the fourth person and then hit OK. So now Richard's there. I'm going to have Richard take my spot. Okay. Do it the same way. And I can make it, let's see, just make it like I'm going to make it bigger like I did Andrew's just so you can see. I know I have to move that behind here. It doesn't matter what order these are in, just matters that he's behind. So now you can see him behind. Now we got all those four. And I really don't need me turned on because if I turn the eyeball, if I click the eyeball right here, Richard goes away and I come on.
Yeah, in the list.
Yeah. See, I just click eyeball on, eyeball off. So I can actually switch players like that, but that's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? What I would do is I would turn mine off, or let's just leave this one on and leave Richard off. Now what you can do, let's say Richard plays one round and then I play the next round. Rather than sit here during the game trying to hit this little butt eyeball and make that happen, what I would do is I would just take the main page and I would right click and duplicate. And I want to name this main page 2. That's fine. So now, and then I want those next to each other. So I'm just dragging and dropping. Now I got main page 1 and main page 2. So main page 2, I'm going to have, I don't want Richard in that one. It's me. So now when I transition, now Richard's there. Now I'm there. I can just go back and forth, changing the scenes. And those that know me know that I have a Stream Deck. A Stream Deck has a button. I would set OBS scene 1, scene 2. I would just change and just hit those buttons and it just takes me that way. I can make that fade whatever I want. I can make the duration really quick. I can make it 300 instead of 3000 with a fade or a slide. So I can do that. So if I do go from main page, boom, that was really quick. Boom, that was really quick. Or I can make it 3000. 3000 is about 3 seconds. So you can do main page, nice mellow way of going. Now, if I wanted to also, I can, let's say from the main page, anytime I go from the main page to the main page 2, I want to, every time I leave, I want to change that it's a transition override. I actually want it to slide. Okay. Now this particular one is going to look stupid because you're sliding the whole thing, but I'm just showing you can do it. So this is an override. This is fade for everything else. And this override that I did, so when I go like that, okay, when I come back to main page, okay, boom, it slides. So it overrides the fade because you can do that individually with each one, okay? Or I can just, if I want to just leave it, I think I can leave it as none. Yeah, just none is there you go. So that is how I individually put in, and this is what people were asking, how do I put in the individual players in their individual spots with underneath some of the things I do? And that's how I do that. So that's what we wanted to show today. It's about 30 minutes coming up. I think it was good timing. I did pretty good on that. I'm going to get rid of this other one. Do you guys have any questions or anything that you have done that you're like, man, I wish I had this, or I wish I could have done that? This is one that I already had. I'll go real quick. This is one that I had right here with just 2 people. So what I can do is I can take this zoom out. It's not, I want to right click and remove. I can add scene image. No, I want to take scene person 1, scene person 3. There we go. So now I can put those down here. Now you guys go back there, and I would resize, lock all the other ones. I'm going to do person 1 first. Actually, maybe I'm not. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can't see that. Let's go to person 3 first. Let's go to person 3. All right. So we can take this. And this is the thing that's difficult here too. Sometimes you don't have the right size image that you can work with. So this is a thing that it can be tricky. All right. Especially with 2 people in there. I've never had to do that one, but anyway, you're giving me a challenge for sure. So let me do Andrew back here real quick. But a lot of times you'll see that, the image is a lot bigger, but you want to get him in. So I'm doing like this, so you can see it overlaps into the other person's thing. So I'm going to take the Alt key and take that away and move. You see how it turns green? That means that I've truncated that image, and now I can fit him in, and he fits in just fine. And it's going to be a challenge on this one, because I'm going to get to you guys, because you got 2 people that I got to squeeze in there. You're probably not going to fit greatly in there. And it might not, just because if I'm going to cover it all, see, it's just not going to. So what I would do is if I'm going to have 2 guests on like that, what I would do is I would make a bigger box. I would, split them up or make a bigger box. Exactly.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, you're going to need a bigger boat. So you guys could be in. Yeah, there you go. So it would work. But at the same time, you want to know that going in. You know what I'm saying? If you got a 2-player and you got to fit it, if you have to fit into a square box, if you notice back in this scene, notice how I make it the size of a window, a normal viewing window, as opposed to a square. When I created this, I knew exactly that I was only going to have 2 people. But I recommend, this is another thing I'll recommend, is always, whenever you're making your boxes, no matter how big or how small, that they have the perspective of a monitor, or the
right aspect ratio.
Exactly. Yeah. The 16:9, I think, is what they call it, or whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That is my demo for today.
Great, man.
I'm
going to use this for our show tomorrow.
Okay. What, playing with matches? I'm going to have to give you that same.
Playing with people. Yeah, I don't use this at all. This is all Jim's thing. So I am just absolutely amazed at what you can do with this OBS. Is there anything else like it? I mean, does this come out of the blue, or what's it?
It's been around a while.
That's a great question. XSplit does a lot of the same thing. There's a lot of them out there. XSplit, there's Wirecast is another one.
Did you see where Twitch is just coming out with their own streaming system? Twitch is going to, for people who are new, it won't replace people who are using OBS now and this kind of stuff, but it takes away a lot of the complexity of getting going with a stream, especially on the Twitch platform, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is brand new. I just heard it released yesterday, or just
one more thing to learn.
Yeah.
No,
but,
I know.
Yeah.
No, I know. You're saying it's not. Yeah, it's not to replace. Yeah, exactly. But no, I get it. Well, the thing I like about OBS, it's free.
Yeah.
XSplit and all those other ones, they cost money, all that kind of stuff. And it really,
like $400.
but it's very robust in what it can do. And I know there's stuff designed just for Mac too. I know there's one over there. I can't remember what it is. There's one that does over there. But there's definitely things out there that are like this, but for free. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And this replaces what used to be hundreds of thousands of dollars of television studio equipment, right?
Yeah.
Just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I used to work in television in the early days.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my early days, I wasn't that old.
Do you guys have any other questions about what we covered today at all? Or maybe something that you had that came up and you said, like, man, I wish.
Well, with the Alt key, I've noticed that it works differently depending on which display adapter I start OBS with. I can start it with my NVIDIA, or I can start it with the built-in Intel graphics.
Oh, really?
board.
Really?
When I start the OBS, it makes a difference on the windows I can display. So I started it in Intel, and I can put on a, let's see, Zoom window. Okay. Scene 2, display capture. Okay. So if I were on my NVIDIA display adapter, I would not be able to show this display.
Really?
It's weird. Right. So I have to modify things. And another thing is when I use the Alt key to manipulate the screen.
Yeah.
It does different things depending on what display adapter I'm on.
So are you saying like the graphics card?
Yeah, the graphics card in my laptop, in my which is my main display.
Okay.
So anyway, it's just weird the way it works for me anyway.
Interesting. So you're saying that the Alt key does something different?
Yes.
Or it's just more difficult to use?
Instead of manipulating the corners of the screen with a green outline,
right?
It does more of inside the screen. Whoops, sorry. I guess I need to lock something.
Lock the others.
So yeah, if I'm using the other display adapter, which is the default, it doesn't change properly the way it's supposed to.
That's interesting. I never heard of that.
And it's something that I haven't been able to figure out, and I've Googled it, and that's how I figured out I needed to change it in the first place, but I don't see any real explanation for it.
Interesting. I don't know that I've ever come across that, but I just use whatever's in there. That's what I use.
Yeah, I have a choice.
Interesting.
And I also have that choice when I'm using my film editor, my video editor.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't understand how that. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I could understand that. I mean, only that it is your the video processing, so maybe it's just different for whatever reason. But I don't understand why it would change a tool in an app.
No,
in an application, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But
I agree. That's
very strange. Very strange.
Very strange indeed. And another thing is the sizing of the window is weird. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's my fault. Okay. So there's your announcement.
Gotcha.
Anyway, just.
No, that's cool. That's interesting. I learn something all the time about stuff like this.
I'm always learning something.
I know. but I don't know why that would be happening. I don't know. I've never heard of that. So I'm not sure what, how to help or whatever. So next, I don't know if it's next week, but next one, we will talk about green screen versus alpha mask, which is a lot of fun. That's pretty interesting. So we will get into some of that, which is kind of cool. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to stop the recording about this session. We can go on chat afterward if y'all want, but I'm going to stop the recording.